if you guys are watching or listening to us, you are listening and watching Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And today, my amazing guest is RoseAnn. She is not only a beautiful woman and an incredible individual, she is an incredible professional too. And I would love to read the official bio for you guys so that you can get an idea on what she's all about. RoseAnn Jansen is the no BS psychic and spiritual guide to the star and your dreams with to the stars and your dreams. With over 45 years experience in finance, business, and creativity, she uses all her experience, knowledge, and intuition to take her clients from confusion to clarity on their purpose and how to best express it through their business. She helps you get to know yourself on a much deeper level, raise your awareness, activate your innate super abilities, and set up your business to encompass your greatness and deliver it to the world in its most impactful form. So, welcome, RoseAnn,
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's wonderful to be here.
to the show. I hope we are live streaming because I know it's kind of this technology. I can literally see you. I hope you can see me. You can see me okay on the
Yep, I
screen?
can. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good, good, good. That's all I need to know. So, first question. Well, first of all, I'm delighted to have this conversation with you. It's not the first time we're having the conversation, but it's the first time to stream it live. So, and I can tell you in advance that some of our listeners and viewers sent me the questions that I'm going to be addressing at the end of our conversation. And the promise is really to talk about how you combine and is it possible, are they related, creativity, intuition, and business. So my first question for you, what is money? What is money for you, RoseAnn?
Okay, let's start with the hard one.
Yeah.
Money really is just a system of trading for points, right? Money is nothing more than points. And that's becoming more apparent in our digital system now with Bitcoin and things like that, where we're trading our services, our knowledge, our expertise, our products for points. So it's the same as, we used to trade for buttons or seashells or anything else. And now we're just trading points. So when you look at it that way, it really comes down to being a game. And it highlights the new mindset of not trying to hoard points, but the immediacy of it and the real need for you to understand that you have the capacity to trade for these points at any point, at any time in your life, so that you're not dependent upon having a stash of points somewhere.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, well, let me backtrack a little bit. So you have a unique combination of all these three combined in your business. And I know that you've been doing tweaks along the way and all of that. So what's the story? How did you, have you always been combining all three? Like creativity, intuition, and growing the business? Because you have the practical side and you also have the spiritual side about you. So how did that start, what is it that glued them all together?
Well, you know what, just as you were talking, I could see through my whole life where it really has been all one package my whole life, because I grew up in a retail store. My parents had a grocery store, and while I was there, I was helping out in the marketing, and I was doing the practical things, and I was doing the bookkeeping stuff. And then when I went out on my own in all the different businesses that I worked in, I was also doing the same thing. And particularly when I had my own store, then I was doing the creative marketing. I was doing the window displays. I had to be the business person. I had to do speaking. I had to do everything. And as an entrepreneur, you really have to do all these things. So it's really important to bring all of you to the table.
Mm-hmm. So when did you start drawing? Because I know you do draw.
Yeah, I did. I started, well, I kind of tampered a little bit. Like I was always into arts and crafts and that sort of stuff. And my aunt gave me a painting set, paint by numbers one time, and I loved paint. That was my
Mm-hmm.
first experience. Like I just fell in love with paint. And then I started out in commercial art school, and we were told that we would never make a living doing art, and I just got really frustrated because there I was, 19, and I needed to get out on my own and have an apartment and pay rent and do all these things. So then I went into business so that I could actually make money and pay the rent. Um, but in hindsight, that was really a lie, because you can make money in whatever you do, whatever your talents are. It's
Mm-hmm.
all mindset, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So one of the questions that let's jump right into that. I was saving that question from our listeners and one of the viewers to the end, but it just feels like it's the right moment. So she's asking, it's from Pre. She's asking, how does money translate into energy? And the second question, and you can start with whichever feels smooth right now for you. The second question is, how can one change self-limiting beliefs about money? Because you just said it's the mindset,
Yeah.
right? The mindset about, yeah. So any tips, any practical advice?
Well, I'm going to start with the second question, because this is a really big deal, because we tend to think that we have these money blocks. And yes, we do, but it's all part of a bigger package where it's self-awareness and the realization that everything is a block, basically. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is an illusion. How we see the world is all in our mind. And so any tweak we make in our beliefs and our perception changes everything in our life. So if we have a belief that money is bad, we just have to examine that belief, look for evidence that, there's good people who have money, there's bad people who have money, there's 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 evidence for all different points of view on money. And so it's up to you which one you choose. And once you choose one and integrate that into you, then your whole perception of the world changes. And the opportunities that you see presented to you are different than the ones you were seeing before, even though it was all there in the first place.
Because
So it's really a mindset. Yeah.
it is, yes, yes,
Yeah.
totally. So you're inviting us to examine like what the point of view is on money, what the angle from which, or the vista point from which we're looking at that object or this concept. And then if we are satisfied, we'll let it be it, because we will bring more evidence of that, and
Yeah.
everything will be the representation of the belief, or we can switch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the ways, the practical ways to switch that? Because it's easier said than done. I understand. So I guess just maybe one out of it. I know you're very resourceful, and you're a great professional at what you do, because I've experienced some of your work. Um, one simple tip that people can do on themselves, maybe.
A really easy one and really effective is if you ask your body where you have a belief about money that's not serving you, your body will tell you immediately. With all you have to do is be aware of your body, and all of a sudden, like if you're aware of it before you ask the question, and then you ask the question, and then all of a sudden you'll notice that, oh, there's something different here, like just as I asked it, right in my hip, there's something different. Okay, so then you ask, what is that? And it'll tell you. And once you see it, that's the switching point. When you actually see it, acknowledge it, that was, all of a sudden it's gone and you can choose something different. It actually is that easy. When something is ready, when you have a belief that's ready to go, it will present itself to you.
And it will present itself to you in the voice that you hear in your head. Because I know for some people it's a big stretch if people are not used to doing the work that you're doing, because you are a unique combination of practical and spiritual. So it's a great combination. But for those of you, let's say they're not familiar with any of that, first thing that I just want to let them know that you guys, when RoseAnn says you need to know your body, like everything that we are experiencing is happening inside of us. It's not anywhere outside. With the beliefs, whether that's the disease, whether that's anything, it's inside this container. So that's what she's referring to. But then you step in, and so how do you explain what is it that they hear? What are they looking for? Is it the voice? Is it the picture? Is it the sound? What is it?
It could be anything. It depends on the person. Personally, sometimes I will hear things, but usually the first thing that I see it. I see something. And you want to pay attention to the very first thing you get, because that's the true one. After that, your logical brain kicks in and it starts making up all kinds of weird stuff that is irrelevant.
So
it's
the first feeling, and that's what we call the intuition. That's what you call intuition.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's then. So let's say you acknowledge that feeling or whatever sensation in your body, and then how do you switch it? So you just say it to yourself, oh, now I'm thinking differently, and you actually say it, or how do you replace the old belief with the new one about money?
You actually don't have to. All you have to do is see the old one and acknowledge it. And as soon as you see it, you see that it's a lie. That's sort of you get this all at the same time. Like you'll see it, you'll realize that it's an illusion, and then it's gone.
Wow.
And
that's simple?
Yeah, it's that simple. And as soon as you realize that it was an illusion, then you realize that, oh, well, if it was a block, it was something negative or something that was holding you back. So once it's gone, it's out of the way, and the truth is already there for you.
And all it takes for us to make it leave the system is really acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement, yeah. It's like peeling away layers, right?
That is amazing.
Oh, I can see this layer here, and you just take it off, and then more truth is revealed.
Yeah.
So the more layers you start taking away, the more truth you see.
It's amazing what you just said. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that's profound. And it reminds me of Michael Beckworth, who usually says, and it really dawned on me when I was listening to him several years ago, when he said, nothing new can really come into your life until you are grateful for what you have and you acknowledge it. And that's exactly what you were saying. So it's really, really simple. And it can take seconds. It's not like years and years of therapy and going to psychologists. None of that. It literally takes seconds. Wow.
Yeah. You
awesome.
Just start asking yourself questions and get used to listening to the answers. And the more you do it, the easier it is to hear and to see the answers. And it just takes practice. That's all it is.
So, so that was profound on intuition and acknowledgement and around money. But how do you, can you explain a little bit about creativity? Let's say, what do you define? What is creativity for you? Did you have to love to paint to be creative or write songs, or what is it for in regards to business owners?
Okay, creativity is really what you are. You are a creator. You were born a creator. That is the core of you. You
So,
created your life, you created your beliefs, you created everything around you. And so if you look at it from that perspective, all of a sudden you're not limited by thinking, oh, if I'm not creative because I can't paint or I can't sing or I can't play an instrument. All of a sudden you realize that creativity is everything you do. And so like you can't market, you can't write copy, your marketing copy without being creative, because you have to put words together.
yeah.
You have to figure out what people, what the people who need to hear from you, what words they need to hear. You have to figure out all this stuff. You have to figure out color and how to set things together. You have to, if you don't want to do it yourself, you have to figure out who to get to do it. This is all creation. It's all the same thing. It's just different aspects of it. So when you start looking at creativity like that, then you realize that, yeah, I am really creative.
So when you, and I think you just touched on something again, very, very, very deep. When people are saying, and everybody who is listening and watching right now, pay attention, because if you thought before this interview that you are not capable of doing anything, you're not creative, yeah, you are. This is what RoseAnn is telling you. You are. And think about everything that you've created around you. So your message underneath what you just said, and I'm kind of translating it for everybody, is that we are the co-creators of everything in our life. Am I right? Including the job, if you are in a job, including the business, relationships that we are in. Is that what you're saying,
Yes,
RoseAnn?
absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So when you put all three aspects, creativity, intuition, how do you translate all that energy into money, and how soon can it happen?
Well, again, it can happen instantly, or it can take forever. It depends on you and how willing you are to see things in a new way. So putting it all together, if you realize that you're a creator and you start really listening to your intuition, then you apply that. You automatically apply that to everything in your life, including your business. And so, for example, when I first started out in my business, I would ask by muscle testing whether I should do something, or I should take this course, or I should whatever. I would ask everything by muscle testing. And then when I learned intuitive art, I would ask through intuitive art for some guidance. You can ask angels and guides for guidance. You can go straight to source and say, what do I do now? What's next? But the whole trick is to get used to listening. And so when you start applying that into your business, you might get really weird answers like I did just recently. I had been guided to put everything into the Reveal Your Life Academy, all my years of experience and knowledge. And so I did that last year. And then all of a sudden this year I was guided to open it up for scholarship. And I was just like, really? Are you kidding me? But I did it. And it's trust, it's building, it's the more you listen to your guidance and your intuition, the more you trust it. And you know that when you're strongly guided to do something and you do it, you take action, you will receive more guidance, and you learn to trust that's part of the journey, that is going to lead to something else that is even greater than anything that you could ever have thought of in doing it the logical way. So that's the real joy of this whole process. And I can give you an example in finance as well, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to people just starting out, but if you're investing, I did very well in investing as a broker and a portfolio manager. But then after years of that, I started asking my intuition. For every investment I made, I asked, is this a good investment? Should I buy this? If yes, okay, when should I sell it? What's the date? I would get the date to sell it. Or I would ask what price to sell it at. I would get the price. Every time I listened to my intuition, it was spot on, right to the day. And I never, but if I didn't listen, it didn't work out. Even if it seemed like a logical investment to make, it seemed good from an analytical point of view. If I didn't listen, if I got the intuition that said no, and I bought it anyway, it was a loser. If I listened to my intuition, it's a winner. It's amazing. And if you start applying that to your whole life and especially your business, you will really be amazed at the changes that start happening. And the changes for me too was in going back to my sort of confident self, but even a greater version of that. I had become sick at one point, and it was just really weird. Like, I lost my confidence, I had foggy thinking, and I stayed in that place until all of a sudden it switched. And I trust that that was meant to be so that everything would align at the right time.
So what was the lesson that you learned in that foggy place when you were there?
That was the period where I was really learning to listen to intuition, to guidance, to trust divine, and to relax into it. And when I finally did, that's when things really started to change. Yeah.
I love it that you have this uniqueness, and what you're propagating is really the balance in the best possible sense, because I myself don't believe in balance, like what is balance, but it's really taking two into account, because we have people who don't believe in this. For them, what we are talking about could be like really too much on the woo-woo side that they don't understand. These are people who believe in facts. But you are saying that these are the facts, and this is like the logic and the analysis and all that is represented by the head, and to simply put it, and the divine, which is the heart. And you found a way to combine both, and
yes.
Now you become the ultimate creator of everything that you're doing. So tell us more about Reveal Your Life Academy. What is it? Who is it for? And what exactly you were guided to be doing in there?
Okay, I'd love to. This is what I've really wanting to do, is to create a culture of possibility so that entrepreneurs aren't limiting themselves. And I know this goes against everything that we're taught, to pick a niche and to, focus in here and narrow and narrow and narrow. And I'm actually being guided that, no, don't do that. Empower yourself and your business through spirited connection and understanding. So in the academy, I have the courses, the life cards, which I was given by the divine for practical ways of doing spiritual stuff. That's what the life cards are. I should write that down. There's meditations in there, and meditations for me are not, the sitting for hours or even 20 minutes. They're pretty much meditations that you get used to doing instantly, and that puts you in a state where you are actually living in the meditative state and functioning in that state, so that you are always getting connection. You're always connected. You're always getting guidance.
So in other words, RoseAnn, just to clarify for the listeners and the viewers, what you call the meditative state for you is when the channel is open and you are in alignment with the source and who you are, who you truly are.
That's right.
Got
And
it.
it's kind of what it is going back to being in alpha and theta, like you were when you were a child, and you were just a sponge taking everything in. We're not disconnected. So you start out in that state, and then you disconnect into beta and learn all the logical, practical stuff. And then you have the opportunity to combine the two. And that's the goal, the gift, heaven on earth, right? The combination. That's the goal. And so that's the goal in the academy too. So you're learning the spiritual stuff, the intuition, how to do the spiritual stuff in a practical way. And I give you resources on the selling and marketing and reading resources. And we talk about blocks and emotions.
What's this one book?
There's a series in there. Sorry.
Beautiful. No, sorry for interruption. I have so many more questions for you, and I know we are kind of running out of time a little bit. But the question that I have, may I, what is this one book that you can recommend for beginners, let's say? The book that will put us on the spiritual path, but also with a practical application.
Oh boy.
Something out of your favorites, maybe.
You know, my favorite books actually is the Diary of a Yogi. Yoganet. I'm going to get the name. I'm going to get the name wrong. Paramahansa Yogananda. Diary of a Yogi.
Diary of the Yogi. Okay, I'm making a note. I haven't read that book, but I'll get it from Amazon. And yeah, and if people want, so your academy, Reveal Your Life Academy. It's, by the way, what's the address for that? Can we? It's available for men and women, and is it for business entrepreneurs only, or who is it for?
Yeah, it's mainly for business for entrepreneurs on the spiritual path. So that you know how to integrate the two things. And it's male or female, it doesn't matter. I have lots of each in the academy. So the URL is revealyourlife.com/RYL Academy.html. So actually, if you go to Reveal Your Life in the tabs under Work With Me, you'll see a secondary tab that's Reveal Your Life RYL Academy.
You know what we will do? We will put it in the comments. If you could just go as soon as we are, we complete the show, then we can go in and put it in the comments, and people who are interested would join. And I know it's a great place. I think I'm a part of it.
Yes, you
I think so. Yes. Yeah, because I love your work. I love who you are and what you're all about. And one of the last questions that come to mind, if you were like right now with everything that you know now, what advice would you give to yourself when you were just starting out as a business owner?
I would tell myself to trust myself. That was the one thing that was my challenge through my whole life, because I would get the answers and then I wouldn't trust it. And I think it helped. It sort of came from that. In our culture, we were taught to be logical, to trust the logical and the scientific, but I was getting the answers directly without having to do that. But I would doubt them, and then have to go and try and prove them. So I'm sure there was a purpose for that through my whole life, and of course there was. But that's the thing that I would say: trust yourself. That initial intuition, pay attention to it.
Give it a
try. Pardon me?
What's the biggest regret that you have?
You know, I don't. I don't really have any regrets because I've been able to see how my life fit together and how everything that I thought at the time I thought was not very good or was negative or was sad, how it all fit together and brought me to here. So I'm really grateful for all of the experiences I've had in my life. And I really don't regret any of it.
Yeah, I knew you would. I kind of knew you would say that. That's what I would say. I have absolutely no regret about anything in my life. You wanted to add
I
something?
want to add something because at the point where I got sick, um, I had also asked myself, what's the one thing in my life that I would regret if I didn't do? And that's when I started painting.
By the way, so that everybody knows, you are sitting in front of the wall that was painted by you, right?
Oh, yeah.
All these colors, and I keep admiring that. Beautiful. Yes.
Thank you.
Um, oh, there was another question. What lights you up?
Anything spiritual, honestly. It the whole journey is so amazing, and the farther you go, the more amazing it gets. And there's just no end to the discovery and the magnificence of the discoveries and the freedom that each discovery brings, either small or large, doesn't matter. It brings a freedom with it of understanding, and it makes you lighter. It makes you feel lighter. And literally, it makes you glow from inside. Like you can see it. Every layer that people take, let it, all those layers I'm saying to peel away, you can actually see it in people when they're doing that. So that's what lights me up. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. RoseAnn, thank you so very much for your time and thank you for being here with us on Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. It was an amazing, beautiful conversation. I hope we're gonna get comments and please don't shy out, guys. And if you have questions for RoseAnn, is it okay for them to put them in the comments so that you can comment on them?
Sure.
And yeah, thank you. And also, if you are moved to do that, go to revealyourlife.com/forward, RYL Academy dot
HTML.
HTML. Yes, it's a little bit complicated. We'll put it in the comments too. And I wanted to share a quote from Albert Einstein. I don't know if you're familiar with that, who said, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." And I just love that quote, and I think you are just living proof that that's what it is, because this uniqueness about you. Really, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today, and I'm sure you're gonna be back on the show.
Thank you so much, Zhanna.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Thanks. Let's see if we can find a way um, to end it, because that's going to be a tricky part in itself. Because I honestly see, I don't know what I did.